So, this webinar is Visibility Over Perfection, Social Media for Public Libraries. And we have two fantastic people from Wake County Public Libraries who do the bulk of their social media. So, we have Megan Kaiser and Katrina Vernon, and they'll take it away.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. We are really excited to be here talking with you. We'll just do some quick introductions and then we'll jump in. I'm going to pass it over to Megan to get us started.
Hi, my name is Megan Kaiser. I am the Senior Resource Librarian here at Wake County Public Libraries. I've been in libraries for 20 years now, but specifically in the marketing and communication space for 8 years. And I'm trying to love social media.
And I am Katrina Vernon. I'm the Assistant Library Director for Wake County Public Libraries. And one of my areas, like resource areas that I oversee, is our library marketing department. So I do not have any kind of communications or social media background, but I have been thrown into it because of my job and have embraced it. And we wanted to use these images as our bio pictures because we have learned the importance of, if we want our staff to participate in social media, be in videos, send us pictures, we also have to do that. Neither of us necessarily wants to be featured on social media, but we've realized that it is important for us to do, and has also helped, I think especially Megan, get over her fear of asking other people to do a thing that she's uncomfortable with, because we are doing it too. So you have probably already seen our learning objectives for today. We're going to help you identify sustainable social media practices. We're going to give you some practical tips for short form video and photo content. We're going to talk about how to develop a flexible, repeatable content strategy, and also how to shift your mindset from perfection to progress. And that is what we are all about. That's why we called this Visibility Over Perfection. We are by no means experts. Everything here is our opinions, what we've learned, what seems to be working, and over the last 6 to 8 months, we have really learned to value visibility and getting out there over having the perfect end product that we're sharing. So before we jump in, I just wanted to share with you a little bit about our library system to sort of place us in some context here. We are in North Carolina. We are surrounding Raleigh, but there's a number of municipalities. We're a large library system. We're serving 1.2 million residents in Wake County. We have 23 library locations as well as 2 mobile units, and we are a decentralized system. Our staffing is 364 permanent employees, benefits eligible employees. That's both part-time and full-time. And then we have over 300 temporary employees as well. So, narrowing in from there, our library marketing team. We feel very lucky to have a library marketing team. There may be a number of library systems that are represented in this call today that do not have any kind of communications or marketing. And so we sort of recognize our privilege in having one. However, what we have is 2.5 FTE for a library system that's serving 1.2 million residents. So altogether as a team, which is 2.5 FTE plus myself, who's not doing the actual communications and design work, but does some of the social media, we are responsible for our website, social media, promotional emails, print materials, and then we also liaise with our county communications. They're responsible for things like press releases, and then they also amplify our messages on social media. They do their own messaging about us. And they have expertise that we're able to lean into as we need to. And then we also liaise with an outside printing vendor. So in terms of sort of who does what, we have 1.5 FTE. So we have 1 full-time employee, that's Megan, and 1 half-time employee who are both senior resource librarians. And so their time is dedicated to large-scale projects, system events, also evergreen materials, promotional email. So they're really focused on like our high impact programming. Then we have 1 FTE who is really focused on local programs and projects. We sometimes refer to these as one-offs. Like we have one program at one library. She is creating the PR for it. And then everyone chips in on distribution of printed materials, engaging with social media, all of the emergencies that come up when you're in the library marketing world. But nobody really has the direct responsibility of, you do social media, you're our social media person. So we would love to hear from you at this point. We've talked a little bit about how we are organized, but I think Devon's going to put a poll in the chat maybe to learn from you, what is your role? Are you in a dedicated marketing or communications role? Are you in a position that's responsible for both marketing and communications, but also another function? Like maybe you're an adult services librarian who also does some marketing. And the last one, my job description does not include marketing or communication. And Devon, can they just do that first poll at this point without doing the second one? Looks like they're both in there.
Yeah, I think the way I organized them, they're accidentally grouped together.
No problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just respond to that first question for now. That'd be great. I don't know where to see those results, Devon.
Yeah, so we have, just going to give like a couple
Okay, thank you.
more seconds for people to do the first one. All right.
Okay, great. So very few of you are in a dedicated marketing or communications role, just 9%, and that is kind of what we had expected to see. Half of you are in a position responsible for both marketing communications and another function, and then 41%, your job description does not include marketing or communication. So we are really hoping to be able to help you, because especially those folks that either their job is divided or their role really isn't about marketing and comms, but maybe they're trying to support in that area, it can be really challenging to balance the rest of your job with the work that happens within marketing. And so hopefully we can help you develop some strategies today that you can use when you get back to work. So reality check, social media and libraries. The first is capacity limitations. Staff are overwhelmed, there is a ton going on, and social media, at least for us, often feels like an extra. It's not the main part of our job, and we have decided to be okay with that. We will fit in doing social media as we are able to, but if we have other priorities that are more pressing, social media is going to have to take a backseat. And so we just want to keep that balance going, because social media could take all of our time. It could take everybody in this department's all of their time, and we can't let it do that. So we've got to figure out that balance. And then social media, what it is and what it isn't. So for us, what we have decided is that social media is really about entertainment and visibility, but it's not about highly detailed information. So we really want to build awareness of what we're doing, but we're not directly trying to get people to check out this book or to come to this program. We just want them to know the types of books and programs that we have. And then what is awareness? We really just want to be at the top of people's mind. Like, we want them to think of us and know that we're a resource for a variety of things within the community. We often hear from different stakeholders, so staff, people higher up in the county, why aren't you promoting this specific thing on social media? And it might be one specific program, or it might be one specific service. And while we try to do general awareness, our goal is not to be able to promote everything on social media, nor do we get great engagement when we do. And we'll talk a little bit more about engagement later in this presentation. And then Megan, you want to talk about website and email?
So like Katrina said, the high level stuff, anything that's informational, it gets really nitty gritty, that's where we put it on our website and our email. We've found that has the most impact. That's where people look for the most information and the most direct way to get in touch with our patrons. So that's where that stuff lives rather than on our social. And then our algorithm trends. Short form video is favored right now. TikTok has really changed the game. So at this point, for example, on Instagram, 50% of the time spent on Instagram for anyone is on stills, and your general scrolling of photos, 50% is on short form video. So that's where we've had to adjust and consider where our labor goes.
So about 6 to 8 months ago, we recognized that we needed to be doing something a little bit different with social media. We were getting requests from some of our stakeholders higher up that they wanted to see us doing more with social media. And so we really needed to think about how to build a strategy that would let us do all of that with still only having 2.5 FTE in our department. And so the way we approached that was to start by doing sort of an audit of our social media. We wanted to see, who's our followers, how do we compare. So right now we have two platforms that we are typically running. It's Facebook and Instagram. The county also uses X to post on our behalf about things like library closures, but we do not post directly to X. And then we've reserved our handle on Blue Sky, but we don't have any immediate plans for use in that. And the county is not interested in TikTok at the moment, nor do we have the capacity to keep up with that volume. So for now, we are looking just at Facebook and Instagram. And you'll see with both of those two platforms, we were fairly early adopters in the platform. So we got on Facebook in 2011, we got on Instagram in 2015, and we have a really good following on Facebook. I think a lot of that is just based on the fact that we got on there early and we got, followers. And in Instagram, it is a little bit lower. And actually, when we originally did this audit back in August of last year, we were about 1,000 followers less than this. We were at about 5,600 followers. And so we'll talk about the strategy of how we grew that, but we were deliberately working on growing our Instagram followers. So one of the things we really wanted to look at was comparable library systems, both within the state of North Carolina, but then also across the country. And in the state, I will give the caveat that we are one of the top two largest by far library systems. So when I say comparable, it's really just the other larger library systems in urban settings in North Carolina. But you can see that our Facebook, we're really happy with those numbers. And then the Instagram numbers actually reflect the old numbers. So we've now grown this by almost 1,000 since then. But we can even see just within North Carolina that Instagram was going to be an area of growth for us. The other thing I'll mention about our high following in Facebook is that it is reflective of our population. We're serving 1.2 million people, so we are going to have a higher number of followers than if we were serving a very small community. And then we also looked at our nationwide peers in library systems. These nationwide peers we look at for a variety of different things. It's determined by service population and budget, how we selected that these are our peer libraries. And so here we were pleased to see that we were really still doing well in Facebook, but the Instagram that gap grew even larger, and that became an area of focus for us that we needed to work to improve. Another thing we wanted to look at is our followership, both in Facebook and on Instagram, like who is following our account. And what you can see is that it's mostly women. And it's mostly women between 35 to 54. So that helps us know who is following us. And, while we would love to have a more diverse audience, we also want to make sure we are maintaining our current audience and continuing to provide them with things that they may be interested in. Instagram, again, this is our followership in Instagram. It's a tiny bit of a different spread. So as a reminder, Facebook was mostly women between the ages of 35 to 54. On Instagram, still mostly women, but we do see some nice increases in a larger spread of ages, specifically in that 25 to 34. So Instagram, which I think we're probably all aware of, skews younger than Facebook does. And so, this is helpful for us to know Sometimes we do post content to only one platform or only the other platform, and the demographics can help us decide which platform we might want to post to. So doing that audit helped us come up with some specific goals for our department and how we wanted to use social media. The very first thing we decided to do was to follow more relevant accounts, specifically in Instagram. And the benefit of following more accounts, more relevant accounts, is that it helps our algorithm. It helps other similar organizations find and follow us. And so we came up with sort of a list that we felt we should be following. So that included other library systems. So certainly all of those peer libraries that you saw on those graphs, we decided we would follow them. Other library systems that maybe aren't our direct peers but are well-known, or even small libraries that we saw that were just doing cool content that we wanted to see more of. We decided to follow local partners. So these are groups that we directly connect with to provide programs, services, things like that. The municipalities throughout Wake County. So for instance, we started following the town of Wendell, which is a municipality. And we also followed the town of Wendell Parks and Rec. So just to stay connected with our local community, other opportunities they have to be able to engage. And then we also wanted to follow organizations that have mission overlap with ours. So that's the school system, or Wake Up and Read, which is another sort of reading-oriented organization. We also asked our staff to help us come up with which handles we should be following. So we were really able to increase how many we were following, which I do think has really helped us increase how many people or organizations are following us as well. We also knew that we needed to increase the frequency of our posts. So we previously didn't really have a strategy for when or what we were posting. We were posting things as we had time, as somebody requested that we post it. But now we have really tried to increase it, but only when it makes sense for us to do that. We're not just sharing, random posts that we see just so that we can keep up our frequency. The posts are our own content. And Megan will talk a little bit more about the ways that we have been able to do this on a later slide. And then lastly, we wanted to make sure that as we're posting, we're really engaging with our patrons. We're responding to their comments when appropriate. We'll also talk about that. We'll respond or like when people tag us. So we just want to engage with them more so that they see us on social media as being more sort of dynamic and responsive. So the other thing that we really talked about is what is our goal with social media. And we kind of came up with 3 goals that I'd say almost all of our posts fit into. So the first goal is promoting the work that we are doing. So this is a post that Megan put up a few weeks ago that is our summer reading bookmark contest. There were 9 days left in the contest. We wanted to get some more entries, so we posted about that. And as you can see, it got 5,000 plus views, 79 interactions. We'll talk more about what all these terms mean. But pretty good response to posting that. So letting people know about that thing we're doing and trying to get them to engage in it. Another is inform. Now there's definitely some crossover between promote and inform, but there are so many things that all libraries do that the people they serve have no idea even exist. And so we do want to post about those sporadically to make sure people know what we do. So this is another one that Megan had put together about puzzle swaps. We have a lot of puzzle swaps at our libraries, and that's something that a lot of people don't know about. So this one got 21,000 views, 211 interactions, another really great response. We also in this category include library closures. So like if the HVAC breaks at one of our libraries, we are posting about that. We typically do not get really much engagement at all, but we want to make sure that people know that important message. And then the last category, which is probably the one that came to mind most when you were signing up for this webinar, is entertain. And so in Entertain, this includes the types of videos that you see a lot of libraries do, but it also includes still photos. It's not just videos. But videos are very, very popular. And so with this video, we got almost 40,000 views and 551 interactions, which is awesome and really just kind of helps us spread information about our library system. Maybe more people follow us, maybe people sign up for a card. And so with this Entertain category, this is kind of the newest category for us. It's also the most work. And we are trying to determine some of our guiding principles within this category. So we want to make sure that our videos, our pictures, are mostly being nice, not putting libraries or library staff or library patrons in any kind of bad light. Like, we don't want to be talking about, I don't know, librarians shushing people. Like, we want to be promoting positively our profession. Although some gentle ribbing is fine, and we have certainly included some of that. We also want to be able to hop on a trend when we're able to. This is another thing that Megan will talk a little bit more about. So I just have a couple more slides, and then we're going to get into some more of this meat about how to create some of this content. But there are a lot of different ways that you can decide how to evaluate your social media posts. So most views, largest reach, longest watch time, all of these are things that Facebook and Instagram will calculate for you and let you know kind of what each of these are. So most views is that image number 1. This is a carousel of still images about seed libraries in our library systems. This has had the most views of any of our content, 65,000 views, and also the highest engagement, 3,720. So engagement is reactions, comments, things like that, whereas views is the number of times your content is displayed to people. Doesn't mean they've engaged with it at all, but it was displayed to them on their screen. Largest reach, this middle one, this was a video that we did, and it had a reach of almost 50,000 people. This is the number of unique people who see your content. And then our longest watch time, I really like this category. They'll tell you how long people have watched your video for. And this video on the right, which we'll actually show you in a few minutes, has played for 9 days and 23 hours, which we think is pretty cool. But I will point out, this video, as you can see from the bottom, is 43 seconds long. The average watch time was just 23 seconds. So even with that long watch, people were not necessarily engaging with the full video. And then there are a lot of different ways you can use Meta's professional dashboard to look at your performance. We use both Instagram and Facebook, so we can see all of the data in the Meta professional dashboard all together. So you can see views, viewers, engagement, net follows, which is a cool one to see how many new followers you received from a post. Impression, which is the number of times your content was on the screen. All of these could be important to you. For us, engagement is the most important, more important than number of views, because it helps put your content in front of more eyes. So if you think about it on Facebook, sometimes you're scrolling, you see that a friend of yours liked a post of a place that you don't follow, but then maybe you take a look at it. So that type of engagement really helps get non-followers to see our content as well. And then, it's helpful to look at our performance. And again, this is from the Meta professional dashboard. And when Megan and I were looking at this earlier today, she was like, oh, there's a lot of red on there. Yeah, sometimes there is. Like, sometimes we have a bunch of really successful posts and we see a lot of green. Sometimes it's been a little quiet because we have other priorities and we're seeing more red. It's all fine. This is not our number one job. We want to do it and we want to do it well, but we also have to balance it with other responsibilities. All right, Megan, you're up.
Just in the last 6 months, when we've started analyzing and approaching things differently, one of the main things is that we are moving from overthinking to just posting. I am a big scaredy cat based on things that have happened in the past for me and the growth of social media. So I'm trying not to overthink it. I'm trying not to consider that everything should be a call to action, and just post. We've been experimenting with reels and short videos, and what felt sustainable versus overwhelming. Sometimes coming up with a series is too much. Sometimes the idea of trying to get on a trend very quickly is too much. Whereas posting a one-off silly video is approachable and it's doable, and we do it. The key mindset shift is that no one has this figured out. I want to be an expert in everything, and I realize that nobody has this totally locked down because it's constantly changing, constantly evolving. There's always going to be a different metric. Nobody's going to follow the same metrics. The tools are constantly evolving. I had the opportunity to watch a webinar where the LA Public Library talked about their mistakes, and I was like, oh, even they make mistakes. Like, they're epic. They do the funniest and most informative stuff. And even they had lessons to learn that were hard won, and I appreciated them sharing them with us. So if you don't mind, we're going to put the poll up again. If you would answer the second one this time. So what is your biggest social media challenge that you don't know where to start? You have tech woes, you hate social media, a lack of staffing, having no buy-in, whether that's stakeholders above or below you, policies aren't in place, or just general fear. And I know for myself, I could check off, 6 of these, but what is your biggest social media challenge at this time? Katrina,
Give it like 15 more seconds, I think. Yeah.
Katrina, I was going to ask yours, but I don't want to influence anyone.
Mine's definitely staffing. I'm not alone.
Could you scroll down for us, Katrina? Or is that Devin?
Oh, yeah. Devin has the poll. But staffing, 39%. Don't know where to start, 27%. Those are the two big ones.
Awesome.
Then 9% we have hate social media, no buy-in, policies. Fear is at 5. Tech woes are only at 2%. I was actually expecting to see more than that.
Awesome. So in terms of our content approach of low barrier, high impact, we started simple. We tried to stay consistent by posting more regularly, and we tried to grow our reach. So the formats being stills and carousels are sustainable, and then reels are harder, but they have high reach and they drive our metrics. Easy, repeatable content buckets for us are staff picks, behind the scenes, day in the life. Then new books, that's easy for us. We work in the building with the new books, so we can just go out and shoot pictures of things. And then partnerships and collaboration. Partnerships is a great way to grow your reach, in that if you're posting and the agency is posting, you're going to have crossover. Today, we couldn't go, but we're shooting a Meet the Fleet video where our new bookmobile is getting to meet all the ambulances and the pet vehicles and the human resources medics. All these different cars are coming together to do a meet our new vehicle. And what's great is that's a lot of folks that don't follow the library and vice versa. So we're excited to see how that plays out. It also helps share the load of the work, which is always beneficial. And then flexible and repeatable. So once a month, our team meets to do a check-in, and we look at this huge spreadsheet we have of all the holiday and seasonal content. So all the holidays you've never heard of, but somehow relate to books, libraries, literacy, or are just entertaining and off the wall. We have a big list of them. We go through and decide what's relevant to our audience, what's relevant to our brand and voice, and what do we have time for. We will share this document with anyone who's interested in it, and the email with resources that goes out. And then we scale that. So, this is April shown, so there's a lot going on. But let's say for Shelfie Day, we scale it by asking the staff to submit things so that we're not going out and individually taking the photos. We have a form and we just ask folks to submit what they can. And what works for us is keeping it optional. If people are forced into it, it's going to be obvious. We don't want to do that. It's authentic because everybody's just taking a picture with whatever camera they have. It's not going to be the highest quality. It keeps it real, which is the trend and what people are looking for generally, or what they're responding to generally right now. It shows off our staff. In this case, we have noticed that anytime we post our staff, people love it. Like if it's their Miss Sarah who recommended their favorite book, they're going to go all out and talk about Miss Sarah. But this comes back to knowing your audience. That includes staff and the public, knowing what they're going to get excited about and what they're not, which we'll talk about something that I'm very excited about in a little bit. So when we do these content call for submissions, we've learned that we need to be very specific. So we had Shelfie Day, childhood photos, and then last year we did Color Our World. We asked our staff to submit photos for Color Our World of creative projects that they were working on or really proud of. We made it optional. We had a how-to, which we'll share this video. It was a public-facing program, virtual program that we had about how to best or easily use your cell phone to take the highest quality photo possible. It's really good. I was a little surprised when I watched the program to be like, oh, these are all the things that I learned at art school, and they're just telling it to everybody. So I highly recommend, if you don't already feel comfortable using your cell phone for photos, to check it out, or to put it in an email to your staff when you're asking for folks to take photos. We let people know the size or ratio that we need of the photo. As y'all probably know, Facebook and Instagram don't always agree on what sizes are appropriate or what they'll accept. And then we let people know how we're going to use the photo. If it's something where it's appropriate, we'll ask if we can use their name. I say, do you want a fan club or would you rather remain anonymous? So that they have some ownership in that. And also, we never want to disrespect someone's wishes. And then we use a form to collect and organize, and we send reminders. So for summer reading last year, we sent out this request before spring break, because it was the luxury of having a plan really far in advance, because we knew people might be working on projects over spring break. And then we sent another one and a month later. And then the week before due dates, we sent another email because our staff is super busy and there's a lot of them. We also have some turnover. So somebody might not have been around for that first email. They are for the third. We want to give them a chance.
And we also let them know that we may not be able to use all of the images on social media, but if that's the case, we'll find another way to use it, even if that's more internally facing. We want to respect the time people took to actually create these things, and we want to use them. Sometimes we do get a little bit overwhelmed by how much participation there is, and we kind of have to balance then what's going to work for social media versus somewhere else.
When we first started, I wrote thank yous to everyone who participated because it was such a load off my back. And I felt so uncomfortable asking because it was something that I wouldn't want to do. So just to reach out and let them know how valuable it was to us. Production and video and photo. So in planning and scheduling, we use the Meta Content Manager. It's ingrained, so it's very easy to use, but we also use a third party. We purchased a Zoho subscription because we can schedule farther out. So for that summer reading posting, we can schedule out for 3 months at a time, which obviously we're still posting other things in between there, but it gives us more flexibility than the Meta version. Both of those, Zoho and Meta, will tell you the most popular time of the day to post. And those algorithms know their stuff. They do generally call it on when we're going to be successful and when it's going to not do as well. For content approach, we're trying to do quick things that are imperfect, so authentic, and repeatable, so something that we can get more out of. Devices and hardware, we invested in dumb phones for all of us, and that phones that don't have phone numbers, we're not on call, but a device that we can record on, edit on, and post from, rather than we were using a professional camera to do our photos, and then we were uploading, and then we were editing, and then we were changing it up to post, and it was just sucking away at our time. We also have, we bought some cheap microphones, because before we weren't doing any kind of video form that required that, and then we started to do it. Just, again, took so much of our time trying to edit things in post, whereas when we had the tool, it was easy breezy. And a tripod. It takes one person out of the equation. I can go out and interview someone, and we don't need someone to hold the camera. So these are things that, like, they seem so simple, but I didn't want to invest in because I was nervous about if it was worth the output, and do we really have this much to invest in? It was totally worth it. And then with editing and software, pick one tool and stick with it. I've worked with Adobe editing, I've worked with Canva, I've worked with edits by Instagram, and I realized there are pros and cons to anything. And then just taking one thing and getting good at it is way better, knowing that there's going to be another tool in 6 months to a year. They're going to develop something that's even easier, wants you to be on even more. So that's ever evolving, but I highly recommend just pick one and stick with it. And then one thing that I missed was when you're trying to do all these things before all of this, is to just start now. That was really uncomfortable for me, didn't feel safe, but the sooner you start, the sooner you're going to find out what works best, and the sooner it'll get easier as you go. So there's that. Production stills. So right now, Instagram feeds are 50% of folks' times are on just stills. So things that aren't the short-term video that it has blown up, like it's exponentially getting popular, but it's still not the whole game right at this point in time. That might change. When we were talking about knowing our audience, we did a post specific to the M Dash, asking folks if they were fans or not. We used just a graphic. I've read and heard about lots of people are like experts saying that your voice and your brand should only be photographs all the time on Instagram. But in this case, it performed really well, knowing that folks are very passionate about their grammar rules. And at least in our audience, anytime we put up a flyer or a post that has any kind of grammatical issue in it, we're going to get called on it. We try our best, but they're always going to find it. Another example of this would be that laptop on the bottom. This was disaster planning ideas. We used what we had on hand. It was a snow day. I was at home with my children, recognizing that lots of other professionals were at home with their children, trying to support the teachers, their kids that were homeschooling for the day or virtual learning for the day, and trying to work. So I just did a post about the resources that were available virtually from the library, which we have tutor.com. So that's what we posted about. Third was one that came to us was a Shelfie Day post. This was our staff submission. They got really into it, and it did really well. There's obviously mystery of a murder afoot here in the library. And then here's us doing our reels. So that was our stills. Here's some reels. Would you mind playing the first one, Katrina? This was so easy. And it was a while ago. 6, 7. It was one shot in unordered clips, and there was no sound. And that's what made it so easy, is we could do it in 1 minute. We just pulled 3 staff members who were willing to be on camera. And this idea came from one of the staff members. Somebody came up with like, should we do this? And we're like, let's do it. And we requested books. We got it done. That was something that 6 months before I would have overthought, examined, been like, we're not actually promoting these authors or books. It's not gonna, there's no measurement that this is gonna drive. Nobody's gonna come in. Like, why would we do this? And people loved it. Imperfection. So the second one, if you'd play that one real quick. I'm so embarrassed for myself right now. So this one was, the trend was out. We went and shot it the day we saw like two different libraries post about it. We were in, and trends are cyclical. The measure right now is if you don't get in within 1 to 2 days on TikTok, you're not going to catch any of the algorithm flow. For Facebook and Instagram, it's 1 to 2 weeks. But trends are cyclical. They do come back around from time to time. So we, with our tiny staff, know we're not always going to hit it right. But if we put effort into it, we're going to post it. Timing can affect reach, but also we're going to do the work. We're going to keep posting. And I can't always hit it scientifically right where it needs to be. So we aren't always going to hit on a trend. And then our last one.
I'm Audrey. I'm a library page, and I collect the books from the book drop. I'm a librarian. I'm a library page. I check in all the books. I'm a library assistant. I'm a library page. I pick up all the books that are lying around the library. I'm a library page. I shelf all the books that get checked in. I'm a librarian, and I do reader's advisory and customer service. I'm a library assistant. I make book displays. I'm a librarian, and I plan and present programs. I'm a librarian. I do arts and crafts.
So this one was not easy, but it was worth it. Obviously, we talked about how much engagement it got. It's multiple shots. It built over time. There was a sound component. Another thing that I was worried about was like, well, this seems negative? And Katrina affirmed that, like, no, it's funny. It's not negative. It's not saying that any one professional thinks that they are higher or better than any other person. And I'm so glad that she did, because it went over really well. This is a trend that was definitely happening across professions. This is very library coded. And the idea that library coded things that happen at multiple libraries, our patrons locally do not follow multiple libraries. So if you've seen it, 6 other libraries post about it, it won't necessarily help you in the trend of everybody's watching these right now. It's going to get out to more people, but it might get a chuckle out of your patrons who aren't watching all the other libraries. That was another thing that I had to reckon with, is like, oh, we got so many followers from this, but they aren't Wake County followers. And where's that value? And like we talked at the beginning, the value is in awareness and community, even if that's not what typically or what in the past we considered our community.
I would also say a value that came through that was unexpected to us is that staff really appreciate that we are doing this. And that's not like our defining reason to do anything, but they like seeing themselves and their colleagues reflected on our channels and showing the work that they have done. So that's been a benefit as well. Sorry. Oh, they all want hold on.
They want all the love.
There we go.
All right. For engagement, it's like publicity. It's all good engagement, but not all of it needs a response. We have this very dated flow chart. The document is actually from 2016, but it works for us, and it's something where we always want to, the points of this that I will say is that you cite your sources, you stick to the facts, you include hyperlinks, video and images when necessary, and respect your time. You don't need to spend more time on a response than is valuable or worth it when you look at the big picture. So We will share this with you too and the resources in case it's helpful for your experience or where you work. And for the engagement, we have this is the M dash, and Katrina will read out a couple of these responses.
Yeah, so our patrons really liked this post and engaged with it. One person said, "You'll pry it and the Oxford comma from my cold dead hands," which we appreciated. Somebody said, "Yes, please include me in Team M Dash, Ellipsis Society, and Club Oxford comma." So we really tried to engage with these comments and, also show that it's all in good fun, we're laughing, we're enjoying it. But they really liked this one.
And then we have a top commenter, someone who's like our number one responder in everything, is a patron who never responds about the posts. They always say something. A lot of times there's images included. It's not relevant to what we're posting about, but that's engagement. It doesn't hurt the algorithm when they post whatever it is that they're posting on whatever it is that we post that are not relational. And this actually goes back to, can you go back, Katrina, to that last document about like when would you remove something? And we are part of our local government, so everything we do is public record. Anytime that something rises to the level of, oh, should we remove this? We would get our communications department involved and legal. It wouldn't be something that we'd be doing in a vacuum without other stakeholders. That's where we sit. But I know every organization is different in that.
And I don't think we can remember a time that we have ever removed a comment.
No. So the takeaways, or what we would like to share from today, is that we are trying to focus on visibility from where we sit, not perfection, and to start small and post consistently is what we found to be valuable, and to use what you have. The things that we find most valuable are our phones, and the phones that are not our phones, only because, I love my cats, but I would accidentally post about my cats for sure if I was using my personal device to post on Instagram. And the free tools are great. We all love Edits, totally a free tool. And then we look forward to sharing that resource document, which will have all these items that we've talked about today, specifically the calendar of possibly library-related holidays and events that happen, the photo training, which is just a video. I think it's about an hour. And then that document about when to respond that we use. And then also it's like there's several questions. The first being, Katrina, you might be able to speak to this. How do you handle team members who put too much value in social media? Folks are suggesting that we need a full-time social media person. If we had extra money in our budget, it wouldn't go to that.
Yeah, we definitely face that too, and I would love it if we had a full-time social media, but I agree, if we had funding for one position, that would not be the position that we would be funding, and it all comes down to your priorities and your values as an organization. So that might be pointing back to your mission and vision, if you have one, your key priorities, if you have a strategic plan. Now, if all of those things say that awareness and visibility are the most important thing for you, it might be something to consider. But if they all say like community engagement or recreational reading or any of those other things are the key piece for your community, for your library system, then that's where that money has to flow to. I think we'd all love to have amazing social media that looks great and we post to all the time and is on all the viral trends, but it's not the reality, and it likely doesn't really move the needle that might be important to your stakeholders and your funding authorities.
I will share that we had the experience of having a staffer come to us because the library was closed, and the value that brought of having someone to dedicate to this who has a different perspective than Katrina and I, was much younger than we are, had a lot of ideas specific to this. It was so helpful to be able to come back and say, hey, we had extra hours and this is what we were able to do with them. And for us, I think that was valuable, but to have someone prove and have evidence that that would be like to say that like awareness is the most important thing is great, but to prove that this would be the way to get the awareness, I think would also be an interesting way to approach it.
Yeah, we definitely recommend finding a young person that you engage, though. And our young person created some content that we didn't understand what the trend was, but we were like, okay, we'll post it, and it worked great. So she was right, and it's helpful to have different perspectives in the mix.
Related to that, we have a question here from Deidre. What roles do part-time employees tend to play in the process? I'm wondering if at a university library, this is something that we could get student workers involved in.
We use that submission process so much. So when we put out a call for folks, no one but our team is actually posting on the channels. And that's for quality control, and because we are the people that are held responsible for anything that gets put up on the channel. We had a little bit of training from communications when we first started about what was appropriate, not appropriate. So we put out the call, and that's for everybody. So that could be for a page that works 8 hours a week in the library. It could be for somebody that has a part-time role as 20 hours. It could be for a full-time position. So when we put out a request, we give it to everybody. And that way we can get the most diverse group of experiences.
I will say when we're talking about Reels, though, we are typically not putting out like a submission request, like that same process for a Reel, because they can be very, very time consuming. And we also want to be respectful to the library staff and to their managers who may not want them to dedicate 6 hours this week to creating a video. So we do work with staff on some of the videos, but it's more kind of one-on-one conversations that come up as we're out in the libraries talking to people and they're expressing an interest. But I think student workers would love participating in things like this.
That was our experience, Katrina, is we'll go out, we'll do a field trip, and we'll have a couple ideas, and we'll ask the staff to participate who are on site and just invite them to do the silly thing that we're asking them to do. And then we'll also say, hey, do you have an idea? And our visits are never more than an hour. So we go in, and that's us doing a lot of different things while we're there. But then we'll say, hey, we wanted to shoot this silly thing. Anybody want in? And then say, do you have anything else that we should do while we're here? And sometimes get some great stuff. Yeah.
Nice. We have a question from Sarah asking, are there any copyright policies to keep in mind when filming Reels and short videos?
I will say that Meta has totally blocked our sound on different things. For example, one of the Reels that was in here that we didn't play was Rocky theme music was playing throughout it. We tried to post it and it blocked us. They're like, you don't own this music. So our staff, it was less than 20 seconds. Our staff played it on kazoos because they had already filmed the footage and they were so invested in this idea, and they had the time to do it with kazoos to play the Rocky theme song. And we posted it and it got through. We have not been pinged for anything other than music in the past. And then they just shut it down. They just give us a warning and take it away. It's not even that we have to take it down. It's just that they automatically block the sound for us.
We're letting them do the work for us.
We have Lauren asking, can you talk about what Zoho is?
So, thanks. I did not explain that well. Zoho.com is just a third-party subscription software, much like the back end of Meta Business. Before there was a content like creation dashboard within Meta, you had to buy it from somebody else. So Hootsuite is another version of that. There's like 10 others that I'm forgetting right now. Zoho is just the one we adopted early on, where you can batch upload reels and photos and just schedule them out as you see fit. And it lets you schedule them for months ahead. And it also gives you the option to do like a post this, but check with a text first. So if you had, I'm trying to think of something that's not tragic. Let's say in my community, there was a big storm coming and I accidentally had a reel scheduled that was something about a storm. And it was joking and matter. It would send me a text and say, do you really want to post this? And in terms of like is there a tragedy? Is there something more important that we should be posting about? Is this the sound or voice on this right for the moment? And you can say, no, thank you. I had scheduled that 6 months before and I forgot that that was not a good idea. Or I didn't know what was not, I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know what was coming. So that's one of the things there. It also tells you what your most valuable times of day are in terms of reach, the algorithm. So you can say, I want to post this reel on a Thursday, but oh, Friday, it's going to get 99% more readership. I'm going to move it to Friday. But we try not to post things on the weekend that we know we will need to engage with a lot if we're not already working on that weekend. So we try and watch that, because if it's our highest time to post is Sunday at 3 a.m., we're not going to be on there to engage anyone at Sunday at 3 a.m. So we're not going to post it.
Ooh. We have a question from Nicole. It was kind of maybe partially answered, but if y'all have additional thoughts on this, have you found that the more videos that you do with staff, the more other staff members want to be in the videos or be engaged?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think definitely we have. And we like, first of all, they see how well these videos do. Staff are talking about them, so they want to be part of it too. Not everybody, but a certain amount of staff. And we've actually recently been really trying to make sure we're visiting the libraries, talking to staff, like engaging them more directly, not just on social media, but on the rest of what this department does. And during a recent visit out to the library, Megan got in a good conversation with a couple of staff, gave them some pointers on creating some videos. They created 2 videos of their own that they then sent to us to post, and they have been wildly successful. So I do think the more we talk about it, the more we're doing, that more staff, we have very creative staff, and they're just going to want to be more and more engaged.
And that kind of leverages the collective expertise of a system and doesn't put the onus on you two to post and create a lot of this content. We have a question here from Christina asking, how would you navigate running socials, but that are overall ran through the county and I can only access them via Meta Business Suite? I can't log into Instagram individually, for example.
Yeah, I mean, that's a bummer. Like, it's definitely, I do like to be able to just log in and look at things, but I will say more and more, I'm doing a lot of it through the Meta Business Suite, because you can do all of your commenting through there, you can do your replies, you can do your posting. So I actually feel like if you get really comfortable with it, that could be beneficial. Because when I'm not logged into it in that way, looking at it, sometimes I miss comments. Like, there'll be a comment on an older video, something like that, I don't see it unless I'm in the suite. So I do think there's ways to make that work to your advantage. Megan, what about you?
I can see all the disadvantage. Like, I just want to empathize with the fact that that is hard, that you can't have one place to follow, to engage with other content. Yeah, I just want to empathize, but that's hard.
You're right.
That's hard.
Yeah, would this person be as able to follow other municipalities or counties doing similar work on socials in the same way that y'all are able to?
No,
probably not. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, Christina, you probably wouldn't be able to. And I do wonder if there's some trust building that you might be able to do with your county to get to the point where they might give you additional access. I think our access levels and ability to do certain things have changed over time. And we have a monthly meeting with our comms liaison at the county level. So we're talking with her about everything we're doing, what challenges we have, how she can support us, how we can support her. And she, definitely trusts us to do things that she might not have several years ago. So it may be worth trying to invest in that relationship with whether it's comms or some other group in the county that's responsible for that. Of course, the answer still may just be no.
I was going to say, like, find out their favorite coffee. Yeah, like,
right. Yeah.
The investment in that relationship might be worth it. Not always easy, not always possible. But.
No, we're so lucky with our comms liaison, but yeah, that's probably not the case everywhere.
We have one more question before we wrap things up. So Jolie's asking, any advice for a library full of introverts who aren't super interested in being in photos and videos? There were some suggestions in a reply, but curious to hear your thoughts.
And I love those suggestions in the reply, like having props like masks or books to cover faces, or only having hands in the video. Um, yeah, I think there could be some creative things like that. There's also lots of skills that you can do that are not about the people's faces at all. But I also think it is some of that, like building it up to be okay and to show them that you are not going to embarrass them on social media. So something we have done with videos in the past is we'll go out and we'll film it, and we can sense that people are feeling nervous about it, and so we're demonstrating our willingness to be in it, to be silly, etc. But we also send them the video before we post it and say, if you are not comfortable with this, let us know. And I mean, it would be upsetting to have spent many hours working on a reel and then not post it, but we would be willing to do that to help staff feel more comfortable. Maybe also talking to them about what they would, like what level would they feel comfortable with. Is a picture okay, but a reel is too far? And over time build that.
Yeah, that's
I
a really nice way to negotiate it.
and one of the saying masks, like my favorite way to be on is in an inflatable costume. Like that is amazing. Nobody sees
Megan is our inflatable snow woman, and she's been
love
featured in
it.
many videos.
I
Yeah,
think it's my story time background that really speaks to like just wanting to be a mascot for something
yeah,
approachable.
yes.
Definitely. Yeah. There's ways around it and ways to overcome that camera fright. Well, Megan and Katrina, thank you both so much for this session. Folks, I hope you all have a fabulous rest of your Tuesday. Keep an eye out for an email from me, and I hope to see you at the next two webinars in our month-long marketing series. But keep trying on social media, and I hope to see y'all soon.
Thank you all.
Take care, everybody.